These are the 10 steps to take to set realistic and actionable goals that will set you up for your best business year yet in 2025. And by best year, I mean a year where you aren't stressed and overwhelmed on what you should be working on. You have clarity on what you should be focusing on that's going to make the biggest difference in your business. And you have peace of mind that you are doing the best things you can do in your business to hit the milestones you want to hit in the next year. Step 1 is reflecting on this past year. Now, we do have to take a pause and think about this past year. Whether it was a great year or not so great year, you need to step back and think about what did work. I mean, even though it might not have been a great year, there's something that worked. What was that? And then we can look at the things that what didn't work so well. What didn't we like doing, and list those things out. Like you could do a pros and cons basic list, because this is really going to help you figure out what you like to do, what you don't like to do, and use that to help you make decisions moving forward. Step number 2 is thinking about what you want to focus on in 2025. So because you've already done step 1, you've started to think about what you did in 2024, what you didn't like, this can help you now create a direction for 2025. So for me, I know what I'm focusing on is less is more. Less launches, less work days, less products. Because I realized over the course of the last 6 months how my business was more successful when less was involved. All right, now we've done like the big dreaming and the thinking. Let's get into data and numbers to plan. So step number 3 is to calculate your expenses. You want to step back and calculate all your business expenses. Now, if you're doing this in December, you can take all the expenses you've had in your business since January and divide it by 11 for 11 months, so you get that monthly expense. Or you could just go back to November, see how much you spent in November, whatever works best for you, but we need to get kind of that monthly number of expenses. You also want to look at your personal expenses. Look, if your business is paying you, you need to have enough money to live your life. So again, you can go back over the course of 11 months to look at how much you've spent in your life, personal lifestyle, and divide it by 11, or you can just take last month. Whatever works best for you, we need a number. Now, before we finalize that number here in step 3, you want to think about 2025. What are some future business expenses you may be adding? Do you want to add a contractor? Do you want to work with a coach? Is there a conference or a retreat that you want to go to? You need to add that expense in as well. And the same thing with your personal life. Is there a addition that you want to add, or a sauna you want to buy, or maybe it's a trip you want to go on? Add that into your personal expenses for 2025. All right, we got our first numbers. Now let's move on to step number 4, and that is determine how much you want to pay yourself. Now, looking at your personal expenses may be a great starting point of how much you want to pay yourself, and you're also wanting to think about how much you want to save. Because we all need to save for retirement, rainy day fund, right? So think about what your personal expenses are, how much you need to pay yourself each month to cover that, and also the savings that you need to do as well. So now you have a number of how much you want to pay yourself each month. Step number 5 is now coming up with your enough number. So now you're going to take the total of your business expenses. You're going to take the total of your personal expenses and how much you're going to pay yourself, and that is your enough number. Now again, you got to make the time frame the same across all of them. So let's say you've done your average personal expenses, your average business expenses, and then your average monthly salary that you want. That is how much you need to make each month. Then you can time that by 12, and that's your yearly enough number. That's how much money you need to make in 2025 in your business to live the life you want and have the business that you want. So now we have this goal. We have this grounding piece. We need to figure out how to get there. So step number 6 is auditing your offers. Now I've got 5 different things you need to do during step 6. Once you've listed out all of your offers, whether it's digital products, low ticket offers, services, coaching, courses, whatever you have, list them all out. I need you to go to each page that is selling that offer and track how much traffic you got to that page monthly. Again, you could do how much traffic has been to that page over the course of the last 11 months and divide it by 12. You can look at the last 3 months and divide it by 3, but we need an average monthly number for traffic you got to that page for each offer. Then for that same time frame, if you're doing 3-month average, if you're doing the last year, you want to calculate how many sales you've had for that offer as well. All right, so if you're looking at the last 3 months for traffic, you're gonna look at the last 3 months for sales too. That's step 2. Step 3 now is taking sales divided by traffic to get your conversion rate. So let's say you had 5 sales and you had 100 people to that page. That is a 5% conversion rate. So the number you're gonna get on your calculator is 0.05. You wanna times that by 100 because it's a percentage. Now, if it's a sales page for a course, a typical course sales page, if it's between 5 to 7%, that's a really good conversion rate. So if you're hitting a really good conversion rate, you know that you can sell on that page. Your problem right now is getting enough people to that page. I want you to get your conversion rates for all of your offers right now. And then I want you to total up the revenue made for each offer. Ideally, you're gonna do this, the yearly revenue that you've made so far with each offer, because we wanna see which one's bringing in the most money. The next part in auditing your offer is, from the looks of it, what seems to be your best offer? What has maybe the highest conversion rate and also the highest revenue earned? Go ahead and circle that because we're gonna come back to it. Now, I'm gonna be doing this process live for myself and with other business owners on Wednesday, December 11th at my CEO Planning Day. If you would just like to block a day off, spend it with myself and other business owners doing the process, mapping out what you need to do to hit your revenue goals for next year, go grab a seat for CEO Day at trenalittle.com/CEO. I'm gonna walk you through my entire planning process, how I use data and numbers to really nail down what I need to focus on that's going to make the biggest difference. I don't set goals just on what I'm envisioning or what I'm manifesting. I set goals based on what I need to make and the best way that I can get there based on previous data. So again, if that's how you really wanna focus your 2025 on the projects you know that are gonna make the biggest difference to help you hit that revenue goal, you've got to join CEO Day. There is a replay that I will send out as soon as it's over so you can catch the replay, or you can watch it as many times as you want. Being there live is going to be the best value because you're going to be able to ask me questions as you plan this out from feedback and just experience as well. So I hope to see you there. All right, step number 7 is figuring out what actually worked this year. Now, where a lot of people go wrong, and I've done this before, is I start thinking about the new year and all the new things that I can do. But what that does is adds more work to myself, and it is not validated if it's actually going to work. If I look back on 2024 and I see, you know what? This launch style converted at like a 20%. Why would I do something new? Why would I create all new things when I know that works? So I'm gonna take that information and jazz that up for 2025 because it worked and I just need to spruce it up. I don't need to start from scratch every year. Look back on launches that you had or promotions that you had and what drove you the most revenue. What actually worked for you? And now that you have conversion rates, you know sales pages that worked well for you. You don't have to create a whole new sales page or a whole new offer. You may now realize, I need to send more traffic to those pages. So take a look at your offers, look at your sales page conversions and what worked. Is there an offer that had high conversions rates, but not enough traffic to hit the goals that you want? Think about if you sold 100 $17 products, that's a $1,700 revenue. But if you realize you sold 10 $500 products, that's $5,000. So you also want to weigh out what is going to be more beneficial for you to focus your time on that's going to get you to that enough number in 2025. All right, moving on to step number 8, and that is now making your action plan. This is where you're going to start listing out those projects that you thought about, all right? Maybe it's launching a YouTube channel, maybe it's launching a podcast, whatever are those projects you're thinking about in 2025, list them out. Now, in next week's video and also in CEO Day, I'm gonna walk you through a process on how to determine, is the effort that you put into this project going to pay off with the amount of money it could potentially make in your business? So I want you to take a look at those projects and think, this one's really not gonna generate as much money for me as I thought. So maybe you're like, I really wanna create a low ticket $17 offer. Okay, look at the average traffic you're getting to your sales pages. Now take that conversion rate times that $17 offer. Probably not gonna make you the most amount of money, right? It's not a high profitable project right now. Maybe you're looking at your $500 course and you're like, the sales page is converting well. I need more traffic. Maybe a project you need to focus on instead of creating a new launch style or a new offer is sending more traffic to that page. And that's going to be doing things like YouTube, a podcast, Facebook ads. This is where we're really going to pick the projects that are going to make the biggest difference on your revenue number. Step number 5 is to calendar it. So you want to start to think about these projects and where they can fit on your calendar, weighing in your personal life. So for me, I know between June to August, I can't really take on any major projects because it's summer and my kids are home. I also know that I'm at the beach typically in June, so I'm not gonna add any projects within those months. I also know March, April timeframe, which I gotta look at my calendar. My kids have spring break. Again, they're going to be home. So I don't wanna be launching during that week when my kids are home. This really allows you to start to weave in your business second and being able to live your life first. You may have started this business so that you could have the life that you wanted, take off on Fridays if you wanted. So you need to make sure your business is fitting into your life. Your life needs to go first, and that's how we're gonna calendar it. Now again, I'm gonna go into more detail in CEO Day on how I block my days and how I fit these projects in. I can't go into that particularly in this video, but I will do a complete deep dive in calendaring in CEO Day. Step number 10 is to break your first 90 days down into tasks. So once you know what project you're going to be focusing on in the first 90 days, we're going to start breaking it out by tasks. What are we working on week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4? I use an Asana board called my quarterly at a glance board, and I will be gifting this to my CEO Day participants, but this helps me keep focused. I will break down each month what I'm focusing on, what my projects are, and I can come into that every day, remind myself, this is what I'm focusing on. This is the project at hand. Don't get distracted, Trina. This is what we're working towards. I really made a massive planning shift earlier this year around July, and it completely changed the trajectory of my business. In fact, once I made this planning shift, I ended up having 3 months in a row where I made $50,000 without even having a launch. If you want to hear about that major planning shift that I made, check it out in this video right here.